on YouTube first here. We have about 3 minutes yet. And we only have a representative from the one applicant so far. It's signed in. So the two applicant representatives are for the same case. The second case, we're still holding for the applicant for the first case. We can give them another minute or two and then we can proceed, I suppose.
Okay.
I think this might be one of them. Actually, no, this is for the same case.
The same case?
It's for the second case, yes.
So I mean, we can go ahead and get started, and then if they're not on by the time we get there, I can ask the commission members to allow us to move out of order and consider the second case first, just so we can get it all started if you're not opposed to that.
I don't believe I am, Eric. I'm sure you're not either.
Well, with that, I'll call the meeting of the Kent City Planning Commission to order at 7:01 p.m. Could staff please call the roll?
Just, yeah, Amanda Edwards.
Present.
Jeff Clapper,
Present.
Chris Clevenger Morris,
Present.
Nick Bellis,
Present.
and Michael Bruder sent an email late today asking to be excused.
Is there a motion to excuse Mr. Bruder?
I'll make a motion to excuse Mr. Bruder.
Moved by Ms. Edwards. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Clapper. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. We'll go right into the preamble. The Planning Commission operates in accordance with the provisions of the Kent City Charter, the Kent Zoning Code, and subdivision regulations, all of which establish the powers and duties of the Commission. Members of the Planning Commission are appointed by Kent City Council and serve without compensation. Certain cases, such as conditional zoning certificates, special zoning permits, overlay district projects, and zoning amendments, require public hearings before the Planning Commission. During the public hearing, any person wishing to address their concerns to the Commission will be provided the opportunity. Once the public hearing is closed, it shall be the discretion of the chair whether to allow any additional public comment. Cases such as site plan reviews and subdivision projects do not require a public hearing. However, the chair will allow public comment on each case as it is taken on the agenda. In each instance where the Commission receives public comments or conducts a public hearing, those persons wishing to address their concerns to the Commission will be required to do so under oath or positive affirmation. The oath or affirmation shall be administered to all who wish to speak at the beginning of the Planning Commission meeting. Once a decision has been made by the Planning Commission on a case, the case is closed for commission as there is no provision to reopen a case. With the exception of cases falling under the subdivision code, any decision of the Planning Commission may be appealed to the City's Board of Zoning Appeals in accordance with Chapter 1109 of the Zoning Code. Anyone interested in appealing a decision of the Planning Commission is advised to seek private legal counsel. Mr. Fink, could you please administer the oath?
For all those who are planning to testify, if you please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to provide to the Planning Commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please say I do.
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Fink. Mr. Starr, have we received any correspondence that need to be noted?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. As there's nothing under old business, we'll move right into new business. Do we have a representative for PC 21-007?
Bridget, you're muted.
Sorry, at the present time, no.
So at this time, if there's no objection from the other commissioners, I would take the business of the day out of order and move on to PC 21-011, and we can move back when the applicant arrives after we've considered PC 21-011. Eric, are you okay with that, or do you want me to make a formal motion to take it out of order?
I think we should take a formal motion.
Okay, so I would entertain a formal motion to move PC 21-011 ahead of PC 21-007. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to move case PC 21-011 ahead of case PC 21-007 out of order.
Moved by Ms. Edwards. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Clapper. The motion is to amend the agenda to move case PC 21-011 ahead of case PC 21-007. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. We will move in consideration of PC 21-011. The applicant is requesting a site plan review and approval to construct a new paved vehicle training lot behind an existing maintenance building. The subject property is zoned I Industrial Zoning District. The applicant is Davy Resource Group at 1550 Franklin Avenue. Would staff like to introduce the project, please?
I'd be happy to. Thank you. The property is surrounded on all sides by industrial uses. Industrial uses to the north, west, and south, and by residential uses to the east. As you mentioned, they are proposing to construct a new paved vehicle training lot for training on heavy-duty trucks and equipment. In an industrial district, parking lots are a permitted use. Because of the size of this parking lot is what has brought this case before you. Anything over 6,001 square feet constitutes a major site plan review. Otherwise, it would have been an internal review. So anyways, that's why you're looking at it tonight. The new lot will add an additional drive exiting onto St. Clair Avenue. The primary purpose of the lot is not for parking, and no new parking spaces will be delineated. The current use of the property is a warehouse, which requires one parking space per 5,000 square feet of space. The existing warehouse is approximately 52,000 square feet, requiring a total of 11 parking spaces. Currently, looking at aerials, they have 20 to 25 spaces with plenty of room for more. It's gravel, so it's not actually lined, but they don't need any more parking spaces. They have plenty. So not adding any new parking spaces with the parking lot or the training lot is perfectly acceptable. There are no utilities planned in the sense of no new water, sanitary, stormwater. The stormwater flow on the new lot has changed, and they're providing for that with a detention basin near the back. There will be no signage added to the site. I don't even think there's any signage on the site now, but anyways, there is going to be lighting on the new lot, the new parking or training lot, and they have provided a photometric plan showing that there is no light escaping from the property. No changes to the landscaping or the dumpster location are proposed. No architectural review was required. No variances are being requested or required. Yeah, staff finds that the request for the site plan review and approval is in accordance with the standards established in the zoning ordinance. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple case. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tsar. If the applicant is ready to present, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Dan Joy. I'm Executive Vice President of Davy Tree. And yes, we are looking to just do this asphalt parking lot. The Department of Transportation has determined that we needed a third-party educational training for our drivers. So we have now gone through the process to become our own trainers. And so we want to put this in just to make it a DOT training center, to be able to bring our own people in, probably about, I don't know, every other month, I'm guessing. We will bring in 8 to 10 people a month. They will be staying in hotels, they'll be in the restaurants, and we will put them through the training process to be able to drive our trucks. So that is our intention for the use of the property. So.
Thank you. Is anyone else from Davy presenting?
Probably not. Molly's on. She's our director of property management, but I think I'm the operations guy. So I think I'm the one that just gave you the usage of the property.
Thank you very much.
And just to be clear, I heard Mr. Schmidt respond that he was placed under oath. Were you also placed under oath?
What's that? I'm sorry.
I heard Mr. Schmidt respond, I do, that he was placed under oath. I want to make sure you were also placed under oath. You said I do as well, correct?
Yes.
You might have still been muted at the time, so just want to clarify for the record. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Joy. Do we have questions for staff or the applicant?
I have a question for the applicant.
Sure.
You said you're bringing in Davy employees for training. There's no outside training on the facility.
No outside training, only Davy employees for sure.
Okay, that's my only question.
I have
Any
no
other
further questions.
Mr. Bellis?
No, thank you.
Okay. Do we have anyone here for public comments on this case?
No one has requested to be added to the meeting for public comment.
Okay. Well, at this point, public comment is closed. If commissioners have any additional questions, comments for staff, or any final comments for the project at whole? Hearing none, if someone would like to make a motion, it's in your pack.
I'll make the motion. I move that in case PC 21-011, the planning commission approve the site plan review with the following conditions: technical plan review.
Moved by Mr. Clapper, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Ms. Edwards. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Joy and your team for being here this evening. We appreciate it, and thank you for allowing us to move you up on the agenda.
Well, thank you for allowing me to move up in the agenda. That's awesome.
We are going to move backwards.
I'm in the middle of a move, so I need to go back and unpack some boxes. So
Not a problem. You should all go enjoy your evening. You don't have to stick around with us.
thank you.
At this point, we'll go ahead and move backwards, or I guess technically forward now, since it was changed to PC 21-007. The applicant is requesting a conditional zoning certificate to operate a rooming house with up to 3 unrelated persons in each unit of the duplex. The subject property is zoned R4 multifamily residential zoning district. Would staff like to present, please?
Yep, thank you. So the property is surrounded by residential uses to the west, south, and east, and by Kent State University owned land to the north. Let's see here. The property is currently a duplex, and the applicant is pursuing conditional zoning certificate to operate as a rooming house at 317 East College, with no more than 3 unrelated persons in each unit. Kent City Council, September 7th, 2016 memo regarding the conversion of single-family dwelling units to rooming houses is still in effect. Everybody was provided with a copy of that. Yes.
I apologize for this.
Yeah.
You're going to kick me for it, but I'm actually going to ask you to read the memo into the record.
No problem. It's just because I have such a beautiful speaking voice, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. September 7th, 2016, from the Honorable Mayor and members of Kent City Council to the members of the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission. As our appointed members of the Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission, the Mayor and members of Council thank you for all you do to support thoughtful and progressive development in the City of Kent. For many years, the pace of development in Kent was relatively slow, but in the last 6 years, that pace has quickened and shows few signs of slowing down. The transformative development that is underway in Kent has led to rediscovery of the role of a vibrant downtown in attracting investment, elevating the quality of life, and making Kent a true destination. You have been a critical part of enabling that economic recovery, and we are grateful for your impactful role in the process. As you have surely noticed, the redevelopment has been a great boost to our local businesses and economic stability. But we are starting to experience some growing pains, and our success has led to a new set of challenges in calibrating an appropriate pace of development moving forward. We've worked hard over the last 10 years to spark investment and promote major redevelopment projects, but now we must work equally hard to ensure a sustainable pace of development. To do that, we've had to adjust our priorities to be more selective and strategic in promoting new development. Our goal is to keep the development momentum working in our favor, but at a pace that is meaningful and manageable. That's where we need your help. Your work as volunteers on our development-related commissions sets the tone and pace for redevelopment. We look to you to translate our broad community goals into your project decisions. As the legislative representatives for the City of Kent, it is our responsibility to provide housing policy guidance and encourages the appropriate application of regulatory requirements in order to allow for an adequate balance between new rental housing development and the preservation of existing single-family housing stock. We greatly appreciate and value all the time all of you have dedicated to assisting the city with its planning and development activities. As you continue your efforts to support the City of Kent, we ask that you remain cognizant of the findings delineated in the comprehensive community housing study and needs analysis. We urge you to apply the city's zoning code in the strictest manner possible when executing your duties as a way to ensure the appropriate mix of residential rental housing options that can meet the needs of people at different stages in life and with varying economic means, while also stabilizing and maintaining residential neighborhoods throughout the community. As you work to uphold the zoning code, if you see areas where it comes up short, let us know so that we can talk about possible changes and stay unified in managing development. That is the end of the memo. You're welcome. So rooming and boarding houses are conditionally permitted uses in an R4 multifamily residential zoning district per 1135-02B10 and are subject to section 1171 .01, 11, 17, and 21, which are further listed there. The proposed rooming house is also subject to all requirements specified in Chapter 1122, rooming and boarding houses. As far as traffic and parking goes, parking requirements for rooming houses are specified in 1122.06. Rooming houses uses require a minimum of 1.25 parking spaces per bed, and that parking areas be located in the rear yard. This particular unit has 6 bedrooms, which yields the need for 8 total parking spaces. Currently, it has 6, so there's a deficit of 2 parking spaces. No new utilities will be added to the structure. No changes in stormwater runoff. No signage is proposed, and there is no exterior lighting, no additional landscaping, and no changes in the dumpster location. The architectural review board was not required to review this case, and no variances are required. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Starr. Mr. Pink, could you please swear in Mr. Mazzia? I don't believe he was here before.
Mr. Mazzia, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give before the Planning Commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please say I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peak. Mr. Mazzia, if you could unmute yourself and state your name and address for the phone number, you're welcome to present it your name and address for the record. I just had a blank there. And you're welcome to present it at this time.
You're muted. You're muted.
There should be an unmute option at the bottom left-hand portion of your Zoom screen.
See the microphone at the corner there? Of your, on your screen to the left, looking at it, there's a microphone.
Are we able to push the button on the host end to ask to unmute so it prompts his screen?
I did. He's not understanding. I'm not sure where he's looking, actually.
You could also try hitting Alt-A. That could unmute him also.
Did you hear that, Roger? Hit Alt-A. There we go. Nope. Do you see the microphone on the left?
It says unmute.
There you go. You got it. You got it.
I
There you go.
apologize for being late. I'm a dinosaur. You guys, the staff knows me. I am a bit of a dinosaur. I still draw with a pencil. Is the floor mine?
Yes, yes. It's time for the applicant to present their case.
Okay. I would say when I got the phone call from the owner that he wanted me to represent him to do a rooming house in College
Mr.
Avenue.
Mazzia, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you please state your name and phone number, your name and address for the record, please, so we have it recorded?
My name is Roger Musia, architect, 210 Columbus Street, Kent, Ohio.
Thank you.
May I start over?
Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I got the phone call from the client and he wanted me to represent him for a rooming house in College Avenue. I said to myself, you're out of your mind. Then I talked to the staff and essentially we're trying to get the project grandfathered because it's been a rooming house for quite some time. Anyway, my research, I went to the city directories from 1970 and 1974. And in between that period of time, the Haymaker Parkway project went into effect and essentially turned College Avenue from single family to multifamily almost overnight. in the 1970 directory, most of the addresses were single family, including this property. And in the 1974, this property was listed as student housing, and there were 8 single family houses still remaining in 1974. So I'm kind of curious how they were converted to multifamily housing and this property was not, even though it's been this way since at least 47 years. Again, talking to city staff, I think we are the last single family house in the neighborhood, with the exception possibly the house next door to us, which appears to be vacant. Our next door neighbor is a fraternity house, and we do share a driveway with them. So I'm trying to think, if we were not a rooming house, I'm not sure who would want to live next to a fraternity house 1 block from Kent State and 500 feet from the police station. Anyway, it seems to be an oversight that this was not reclassified earlier, and I'd like to correct it earlier, what I consider as an oversight. I'm done.
Thank you. Questions of the applicant or staff by commissioners?
One question on Unit A in your drawing. Unit A, bedroom 2. Is there a closet in that bedroom?
Okay, you said which unit now?
Unit A, bedroom 2.
Yes. In fact, the closet, the door is on the wrong side of that closet.
Okay, that's all I have on that.
And the closet, bedroom 1 has its own closet. So yeah, they all have closets.
Any other questions?
I just want to confirm, this is a multi-family, it's a duplex. It's not a single family home, correct?
No, it is a duplex. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bellis, did you have any questions?
Sir, how many people do you have living in the house right now?
There are 6.
Okay, thank you.
You said that the house has been operating as a rooming house for a long time.
The 1974 city directory listed as student housing,
It hasn't been operating as student housing since then.
at least.
And have they obtained at any point in time a rental license from the health department?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing no other questions, is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak?
There was no one from the public that requested to be added for this case.
Okay, well then at this time we'll close public comment. Any additional questions by commissioners for the staff or for the applicant? All right, let's move right into discussion. So I guess I'll jump in first. I'm torn. I understand that the project has, essentially been operating as, rooming house for this time, but the question is, are we in a position where we can stop that from happening moving forward? Do we need to somehow, the words grandfathered in were used earlier. So are we in a position where we need to make those changes because it's been operating in all this time? Or are we in a position where we want to, listen to the section of the memo that talks about applying the code in the strictest manner possible and executing our duties? I think most of us are in agreement that there are too many rooming houses in the city, and that drives up costs of living for other families. So I'm just torn here, and I'm curious what you guys are thinking.
I agree. There's already an abundance of rooming houses, and I think the students are moving away from that desire and moving more into apartments that are furnished with Wi-Fi and a gym and parking and everything else. Not to mention the fact there's a deficit in parking, and I don't see any action for spaces being added. So just want to make sure that we know that that's deficient in the code as it is right now.
Ms. Suso, can you comment on that?
This property is a duplex with no more than 2 unrelated persons per side is the way that we have the current zoning. So they are requesting for it to be granted the conditional use of a rooming house. To clarify, grandfathered is applied to a non-conforming use. The non-conforming use status of this was not clearly identified through a historic review provided by the applicant. So you would be approving it as a new rooming house. Currently, in terms of the community development zoning use certificate, it is a duplex allowed to be rented or occupied by no more than 2 unrelated persons per side.
So in the event that we do not adopt a change, moving forward, they will not be able to continue to rent to
Right.
more
They
than
can
2
rent
unrelated
to,
per side.
right, 2 unrelated or a household that meets the definition of family according to the zoning code.
Ms. Edwards, I'm sorry, I believe you were going to speak.
No, I was just going to say, it seems like there's a little bit of terminology issues going on here. So it is a duplex. There can be 2 people per unit. When I look at cases, my thought is I try not to look at what neighbors are doing because we don't know if they're actually, you know, have the designation or if they're operating illegally or whatever the case may be. But in terms of this application, I feel that there isn't sufficient parking to have it be a rooming house. And there was other things in chapter 1122 that were presented, such as the landscaping around the parking area. We don't know what the property setbacks are, what the plan is for open space, and other things as well. But ultimately, I would prefer that this stays a duplex. I don't think it's appropriate for another rooming house.
So, Ms. Suso, maybe you or Mr. Pink can speak to this. Were we just not aware? I'm assuming the city, I can't imagine we were aware because we would have stepped in. The city was not aware that this was operating illegally as a rooming house?
Well, you have to understand there's 2 different tracks for rental licensing. The health department has been inspecting and licensing rooming houses with 3 or more unrelated persons going back for decades. This one was not identified as that. I will tell you the health department was not inspecting single family dwelling units, which would include a duplex and a triplex, if they were limited to no more than 2 unrelated people. The community development department, however, under council's direction, began the rental licensing program for what we call the single family rentals, which include the duplexes and single family and triplexes limited to no more than 2 unrelated people or a family. It was through that process this property was identified. If it had been, Eric, you can jump in, if it had been classified or recognized as a rooming house, the health department would have been inspecting this since they began inspections in, I believe it was 1978.
So we found this property ourselves. The city stumbled across this issue.
Through our rental licensing program for the single family rentals, correct?
Now, can
I'm
Bridget?
sorry, Mr. Muzia. I apologize. We're in final discussion. So unless the commissioners are seeking additional information, I'm unable to entertain your comments at this time. Mr. Bellis, do you have anything to add here?
No, I think a lot of my questions were answered by other commissioners and staff. Thank you.
I guess the only thing I'll say is going back to my original comments, you know, the way that this was presented and the way it sounded to me, which was somewhat confusing, was that, you know, this is a situation where this has been allowed to go on for a certain amount of time and there was an abrupt change that was potentially preventing that. But if this is a case where it was illegally operating, the city wasn't made aware of it, it was never reported, and the reason that it wasn't looked into by the health department is because we were never actually told the number of unrelated individuals living on either side of that duplex, then I don't tend to lean in the direction of granting someone a favor for 45 years of mistakes at this point. So is there a motion from one of the commissioners?
Make the motion. I move that in case PC 21-007, the planning commission not approve the conditional zoning certificate.
Moved by Mr. Clapper. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bellis. If there is no other discussion, all those in favor of denying the request signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is denied 4-0. Motion carries for the record. Thank you, Mr. Muzia, for being here today. We're going to move further into the agenda, into the minutes. We have outstanding minutes from May 4th and May 18th. Have commissioners had an opportunity to review those?
I have.
Yes.
Yes, and I have a question regarding the May 4th minutes. Not an error in there, but did we ever get clarification on that? Was it the Eastern Drive apron?
Yes, we did. In fact, I asked Tim to look at that, and so Tim can speak to that right now because I had a feeling that that was going to come up. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, so basically what boils down there is that there were two different previous actions at this parcel. The first one was when Claiborne acquired the parcel and it was just the restaurant parcel. At that time, it was suggested that if Claiborne were to find a way to eliminate that entrance, that it would be we'll just say it would be appreciated, but there was no strict action placed on that. Later, when Claiborne acquired 4 additional properties and consolidated those properties and then created the larger parking lot, at that time there was a condition put on that site plan review of eliminating that entrance. Obviously, it was never actually that condition was never carried forth or executed. So that's where it stands today. There's kind of an outstanding condition that west apron should be removed. That's about the sum total of it.
Am I correct in thinking that Claiborne came back and asked to have that condition removed and we denied it?
I did not find record of that, but I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Okay.
At this point, though, the condition exists with the parcel. So if Buckeye Relief is able to secure its dispensary license and comes back with the landscape plan as requested by the Planning Commission, removal of that apron would be part of the technical review process that we would require, and we would advise them ahead of time so that they can plan the landscaping accordingly with that apron removed.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have a change on the May 4th meeting minutes on page 4. First paragraph under the Planning Commission discussion. It says that I was disappointed with the condition of the previously approved rain garden at the Claiborne across the street, but it was actually on that parcel.
Got it.
Any other changes or updates? Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 4th?
As amended.
As amended, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 4th meeting minutes as amended.
Moved by Ms. Edwards. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Clapper. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries 4-0. Moving on to the May 18th minutes. Anyone have any comments?
None.
There are no comments. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the May 18th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Moved by Ms. Edwards. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Clapper. Before we vote, Mr. Bellis, I would remind you that you were not present at the May 18th minute. I would ask you to abstain.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Mr. Bellis. Motion carries 3-0-1, 3 in the affirmative and 1 abstention. There's nothing else on the agenda, so if nobody has anything else to add, we can move to adjournment.
Real quick, under other business, I wanted to remind everyone that we're moving the second meeting in June to the week after. The normal will be that fourth Tuesday, to allow for a presentation to the BZA by the city administration on the new administration building. So Tim we'll get that out to you later. And then also I wanted to mention that some minor changes are going to be before council tomorrow with regards to the zoning code update. 3 minor changes. We are unsure if the minute or if the update will be approved this month by council. If not this month, we anticipate by next month. So hopefully by the end of the summer, we will have that finalized. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Moved by Ms. Edwards. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Clapper. Without objection, we are adjourned at 7:37 p.m. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.